This is Kanzenshuu, the podcast, episode 474 for the week of July 14th, 2019. Well, hello. Welcome back to a 2-month delayed episode of Kanzenshuu.
EX?
Yeah, that was a thing back then.
It was a thing back then?
You know, when we relaunched, I was initially considering calling the podcast Kanzenshuu EX as a supplement to Kanzenshuu, the website.
I know, it would have been a nice little nod.
I know, I thought it was too much branding. Anyway.
The podcast!
Thank you, an extension of the all-encompassing Dragon Ball fan site.
Kanzenshuu!
Yes, we cover anything and everything Dragon Ball in hopes of enlightening and a little bit of entertaining. Anyway, hi.
Hi, as we've been known to do.
What?
I think this episode is going to be filled with entertainment.
This is entertainment. It's therapy. It's a little
nostalgia.
Bit you might know.
I guess so. Your mileage may vary.
Yeah. So we're coming up on July 15th. I'll probably be releasing this around July 15th. It's about 2 months off from when I initially intended to record and release this episode.
Mike says he's sorry.
I'm sorry. Which was May 15th. Meri. We didn't actually do introductions, but...
Oh, geez.
You're Meri.
Hi, I'm Meri.
That's Meri. I'm Mike. I run this thing. May 15th. Do you remember where you were that day?
I remember...
Well, I didn't say what year. Shit. 20 years ago.
I kind of sort of do, so...
I'm already off to a bad start here. Look, it's been a while. Bear with me.
We're trying to frame a scene for our esteemed audience.
Paint a picture.
Do you remember where you were 20 years ago?
The horrifying thing is that some people probably weren't alive.
Well, Pepperidge Farm remembers that it was reading...
Someone's website?
Someone who may or may not have married the person who is talking right now, reading an editorial about a certain product that came out 20 years ago?
Simply titled, ... Dub Season 3 by Vegito EX, June 1st, 1999. Oof. All right, so it's been 20 years.
Let's not talk about the time difference. Okay, yes, sir.
A while back, you and I did a 20-year retrospective on Dragon Ball Z's formal arrival in North America from Funimation.
We may have.
By a while ago, I mean, the 20-year anniversary for that was 2016, so that was almost 3 years ago at this point. We have just passed the 20-year anniversary of the home video VHS release of Season 3's beginning. Home video, Funimation, Dragon Ball Z. Now, I do want to set the stage before setting the stage because there's a lot of revisionist history that Funimation has done over the years.
Mm-hmm. We need to talk about like why this is important and why this is special and why this is a thing, especially for those of you who may not have been around like as it was occurring.
As it was happening, right. When we say Season 3, here we are talking about television broadcast series in North America. When you see Season 3 on your Orange Bricks or your Blu-rays, that is not the beginning of what we're talking about here. So Season 1 was edited dub episodes 1 through 26. Season 2 was edited dub episodes 27 through 53 plus 3-part Tree of Might television broadcast. Season 3 picked up internal dub from Funimation, home video, May 15th, 1999, began on airing on Toonami in September later that year. So, that's the break right here.
When you think about what it was like back then, having to watch the syndicated first 53 episodes over and over and over and over, there was like maybe an inkling of hope that maybe, I can only speak for myself, that maybe one day it'll just be a new episode. But no, to go back to episode 1. So wash, rinse, repeat, going through this maybe about 3 years of watching the same episodes over and over and over again. The arrival of quote unquote Season 3 was kind of a big thing.
It really was. But also to kind of set the stage here, we had, starting around this time, we started getting multiple broadcasts. There was a period of time following this when you could watch the English dub from Funimation. You could watch the original Japanese version on the international channel.
I was one of the lucky ones.
And you could watch the Spanish, the Mexican dub on Telemundo. You could watch 3 different versions of Dragon Ball Z on North American television.
Come to think of it, I think I did have Telemundo.
Yeah, I did
So
too.
I think there was a hot minute where I was in high school watching English, Japanese, and Spanish all at once, and I didn't care that I was watching them all for the gazillionth time because I'm like, this is amazing.
That being said, that's what this episode is going to be all about. We're foregoing everything else, any formality with any segments.
Fuck segments, man. We got to get into the content.
So a couple months ago, I forget when I actually tweeted this out, I was looking for something else in the garage, and I came upon the box where there was a bunch of VHS in there, and staring me in the face at the very top of the box.
Like it was wanting to be found.
Captain Ginyu Assault and Captain Dingu, Captain Dingus, Double Cross, Wingus and Dingus right there on the top. Staring me in the face. I was like, I can't do this right now.
You can't.
Luckily, at that point, coming up was going to be the 20th anniversary. And again, we flew by that. We're 2 months past it, but I wanted to cycle back to it. And so we thought a great idea. Actually, I think Joe suggested it to us.
Thank you, Joe.
I was thinking about doing it at the same time. So it was good reinforcement to make me do it. Like, you should rewatch them and review them. And so we did. So we cheated a little bit. We didn't actually watch the VHS. We watched the DVD, which came out the following year. However, there were no changes in the DVD. But speaking of changes, I want to, again, set the stage before setting the stage. If you are a fan of Funimation's English dub and you watch either the Orange Bricks or the more recent Blu-ray sets, what you hear there is not what you heard back in 1999 and what was on the VHS and on the DVDs.
You got something totally different back in 99.
Yes. So certain people, Chris Sabat namely, and I believe several of the others, redubbed the entirety of their performances up to a certain point. I think Sabat did quite a ways further than anyone else, and he was there. He's the director.
Why they do that?
Well, because it's awful.
There is that, yeah.
So in 2005, Meri, you remember the Ultimate Uncut Edition began coming out.
Vaguely.
That was Funimation going back and redoing what Funimation had produced with the Ocean Studios cast, episodes 1 through roughly 67, remember, edited down to 53. So then when they were going back and redubbing those episodes, we got to a point where you would have had 2005 Sabat and Schemmel immediately jumping to 1999 Sabat and Schemmel, going episode 67, 68-ish. And it's a jarring disconnect.
I mean, 6 years is a long time.
Right.
In terms of like getting experience with the characters at that point, probably realizing, oh man, I would do this totally differently now.
Right. So at that point, what several of them did was redub with their current versions of the voices and, experience up to that point.
What do you mean when you say several?
It was several of the people, notably not redubbing their lines. You'll still hear 1999 Sean Schemmel on the Orange Bricks.
Oh, because you can do no wrong, obviously.
Hey, look, I didn't say it.
I did because I don't fucking care.
So we went back and watched the actual original 1999 production of those episodes. That's what we're talking about. So if you want to relive those experiences, you either need to dig out your VHS or your DVD of Captain Ginyu Assault. We watched those 3 episodes in their 1999 dub fashion. We're going to review them, but we're not just going to do that. We are going to read selections from what may or may not have appeared on a certain website
back in 1999.
Still called Vegito EX's homepage, not quite Kanzenshuu EX yet, even at that point.
So, Mike.
Yeah.
We're going half a lifetime ago. I just want to put that in context to people.
Yeah.
Half a lifetime ago. So please bear with us.
Where were you?
I imagine I bought the tapes.
In May of 1999.
So I probably bought the tapes, like day one.
Would you have bought them online? You probably had to buy them online.
No. I probably went to Suncoast Video at the mall.
I don't know that they would have had them immediately.
I don't think that I was buying stuff online regularly in 1999.
Yeah.
I think I was buying stuff regularly online like the year after.
You probably, though, just judging by what your response probably was to reading my stuff back then, you probably didn't have the tapes yet at that point.
That's probably fair. I think I probably did not watch them, and I was on the lookout for your website to gauge reaction.
Yeah.
I remember, so at that point I was working on Temple of Trunks every single day, like nonstop when I wasn't in school. So I was on the computer anyway, and as part of my daily rotation of Dragon Ball fan sites, yours was the one, I refreshed regularly. I definitely remember seeing your editorial. Do you want me to save my thoughts when we get to that part of the discussion?
We'll read selections from
Let me just say, okay, I'll just say.
Just going to get where were you at that point?
So where I was
Working
on
your site,
day
refreshing.
one.
Yeah.
Day one, I was there reading your editorial. It wasn't like a week later, a month later. It was like day one.
Well, judging by the date that I have here, so the tapes came out on May 15th. Seems like it took a few days for people to actually get them. I actually dug in and got newsgroup posts from around that time as well. And so I posted my editorial up on June 1st. So it was a couple of weeks later, half a month later at that point, but that makes sense.
That's pretty long.
Yeah, but
I thought you were like man on the street, like this is the day of action.
But I think you had to either order them from Funimation directly or maybe Right Stuff had them at that point.
You think so?
So yeah, I forget where exactly I would have ordered them from.
I guess the lack of immediacy seems like a weird thing.
It's not
because like
same.
we're so used to instant gratification nowadays. It's like, what? What do you mean it was like weeks later?
I know there's been some confusion over when these tapes actually came out. Certain sites and other places have different dates listed, but I assure you, this is when they came out. I went in and did the actual research on this, dug out not only my own posts from 20 years ago, but also news posts from other sites like ANN and not Anime News Service. There was another site, Anime Nation, I think, at the time. And I got the actual dates from then. They definitely came out on May 15th. They were $14.95. That's probably where I would have ordered them from. Then the next couple episodes would have come out on August 31st that year. And then September 6th is when they debuted on Cartoon Network. That was a big day on Cartoon Network. They aired the last 2 episodes of season 2, and then they aired the first 2 episodes of season 3.
That's smart.
Yeah, it was extremely smart. I mean, the buildup they had for that, it was major. I mean, all right, so you want to keep talking about revisionist history. I continue to talk about how Dragon Ball Z in syndication for its second season got a 1-hour time block on American television before Pokemon.
That was like my jam.
It was a big deal. And so it just continued that inertia onto Cartoon Network from 98 to 99. And then when 99 is when they debuted season 3. So it was a massive buildup going up to that point, building on the success of what Funimation had done with Ocean. All right, we got to jump into it now. So, Meri, we did watch the 3 episodes on the Captain Ginyu Assault VHS DVD. Woof.
Woof is the word.
That certainly was something.
The bird is the word. So
something I think a lot of people forget about is that the opening theme during the Frieza arc, when Funimation initially dubbed it, was still Rock the Dragon. Yep. They held through with that to the end. I think either into Garlic Jr. or that's when they switched over to doing their own thing. The shift going from Rock the Dragon, just this immediate disconnect is the only word I can think of, going from that sound to the in-house Funimation sound. I've talked about this a bit. To me, it just sounds like there's some frequency missing in the Falconer production
like
score.
A layer?
Yeah, not a layer, but just like someone came through and actually like took a couple fingers and removed the middle portion of the waveform. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's got this...
Like, it's either really, really high or really, really low and there's nothing in the middle?
No, it's just this hollow sound. So maybe, yeah, like, I can't get this across to people, how it just sounds hollow, both artistically and actual, like, sonically. Like, there's just something missing to the sound. And it's the voices and it's the music. And, of course, I mean, everything was new and in-house at that point, especially with the voice recording. They didn't have the technology that they have now. So, you know, hindsight's 2020. Like, we understand where their productions were at that time.
That being said, we're gonna shit on your nostalgia for the next 45 minutes in case you haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
No offense. Like, we don't mean to. Just so you don't think that we do this in a bubble. One of my favorite fandoms is Gem. I recognize that Gem can be garbage. I've been listening to a podcast where they pretty much shit on Gem for a straight hour, and it's hilarious because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, it's nostalgic for me, but I can realize when it's garbage. It's lovable criticism.
Well, I didn't love it. That's the thing. Again, for those who may be younger, this was our third voice for an adult Goku.
That's true.
This was our third replacement musical score. Like, we had seen this song.
Wait, third?
I mean, the Peter Bearing score for the original Dragon Ball, and then into Shuki Ron Wasserman's score, and then onto this. But, like, this was just another shift for us. It wasn't like there was no established, like everything changed again, but for us that was Tuesday. It wasn't like this monumental. It was
just another day.
Yeah.
But it was monumental though.
It kind of was.
Because we waited so long for new content.
Yes, but at the same point, by 1999, I was already all in on the original Japanese version.
That's true.
Of the
That's
show.
one benefit I think I should make clear to the audience is that there was such a gap in time between these seasons that we, even despite not having the internet we know of as today's internet, the ability to go and seek out means of tracking down the original version, getting exposed to that and being like, oh my gosh, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
I kind of don't care what happens next locally because I got the original now.
Yeah. For me, it was always, I need to know. Oh, this isn't the original version. I need to seek out the original version. I need to know everything. So it was, well, at this point, dub be damned. Yeah, whatever.
It's just kind of like icing on the cake that you can comment on, and it's not the end of the world if it's the worst thing in the world.
Well, it felt like it at the time, which is hysterical.
That is cute. It is so cute.
Back, this was 99, and then in 2000, we started getting bilingual DVDs. That felt like 12 years. Back then.
Did.
It was literally the next year.
You're right.
That's crazy. All right, let's get back to the content here.
Yes, content.
So we're watching it. We get Rock the Dragon. We get into things. We've got Berter going bite me, which is super, super weird.
Super late 90s, early 2000s.
Right. And then we get, all these characters are talking. But then we get Sabat's Brian Drummond impression out of Vegeta to that.
Kakarot, unbelievable.
Again, if you're watching the Orange Bricks and the Blu-ray season sets, this is not the performance you get. It's hysterical going back to this.
I don't watch the dub, but like the second he opened his mouth, even I was able to recognize like, wow, Sabat is 2 octaves higher than what I know him as. So it's kind of nice knowing that like over the years he evolved into his own performance rather than just I'm doing an impression.
I mean,
But what choice did they have?
That's what they were hired
That's
to do.
what we need to remember.
Yeah.
It's like back then, like you were hired to do an impression.
Mm-hmm. So we do have an uncut video track at this point on the videos and obviously on the DVD. But it's fascinating already how much extra talking they still have going on at this point. As long as there's not a mouth on screen that you can see, someone will be talking. And there's a lot of gosh and darn going on, even in this uncut version of the dub.
There was gosh, there was darn, and there was oh man. A lot of oh man.
A lot of that. This really felt, this is going to tie into some of the stuff I wrote about in my editorial. You and I were saying, like, this is borderline fan parody, it feels like. A bunch of wild and crazy space explorers. And then also this like, I don't know, is it called Walla? It's the background talking where they're burying the Dragon Balls. And in the background, you hear someone say like, oh, come to daddy.
It was very inappropriate.
It's super weird.
Dig with style, mates! You're not convicts, you're the Ginyus! Come to Papa.
Just everyone's making jokes. And there's a later line where Dub Frieza says, why so blue, lizard man? Like, just say green. The joke is that you're saying the different color.
Why so blue, lizard boy? You look so stressed, but everything's fine. Just tell me the password. It's that simple.
It's like we need to retread our own jokes.
But poorly. Like, what are you doing?
So it was at this point when the joke making was at its peak where I think I had you hit pause as we were watching these episodes and I said, was this still the original dub writing cast?
Right. So that's something to remember is that the Ocean dub, the Saban dub, again, we've talked about this. If you're listening to Kanzenshuu, you know this story. That was Funimation. It was always Funimation. Post Harmony Gold, it was always Funimation. Barry Watson's producing things. We have the internal script writers and digital paint artists down in Texas working on the show. Some of the folks working at Ocean were doing script write-ups. They actually continued. You'll see Terry Clayson credited after Ocean Studios is no longer doing voice work on the show. Like the behind the scenes, ignoring the actual voices and actual music coming out of your speakers, it's still the exact same production team.
So here is what made it different for me.
Yeah.
The same bad writing, same bad jokes, like lovingly, like bad jokes, kind of compounded by bad voice acting.
Yeah, it makes it all worse.
Yeah, because there was something again, this is probably just my nostalgia speaking. There was something lovable, I guess, about the first 2 seasons and its bad jokes.
Sure.
And I think it's because the voice acting helped sell it because it was so bad.
There was definitely some of that, but there's also like, I know you're airing it in a children's cartoon block, so like
that's true.
You got it, like we knew what the
extra hammy
was at that point. This was, we're putting out an uncut version and an edited version. The edited version will air on TV, but here's the uncut version, and it's still like, why are you saying these things?
These really kiddish kind of things.
And then the difference is that there will be things like, and I remember putting up sound files of this, Vegeta saying, I'm a freaking genius.
This is just too convenient. Kakarot and Ginyu are back there clobbering each other, while the Runts are up ahead finding the Dragon Balls for me. This is too good to be true. I'll just wait until the Earthlings find out what the password is. Then I'll step in and make my wish. That's right, if there's anything I've learned from this whole ordeal, it's that I am a friggin' genius.
And then in the edited dub, it was like, I'm an absolute genius. So all you did was just add a word to make it more uncut. Yeah. And kind of tying into that, you were saying that you felt it was over-sexualized, almost to like their personal enjoyment. It felt like,
in the sense that like
even acknowledging, I want to caress these balls in dub season 2.
All of that.
Like that just continues forward.
So that is me as an adult putting myself in the mindset of someone who has this job of rewriting and localizing a show from another country, and no one's going to watch this thing because it's in a terrible time spot. How am I going to make this job funny for myself? Well, I'm going to put in sex jokes and hope that nobody really notices. So, as a kid, I just thought it was straight up funny. Now that I'm an old fart, I'm thinking of it as an almost Office Space-esque kind of joke. Like, I want to see what I can get away with on the job and see if anyone notices, sort of thing. But there were several jokes that I was like, there's no way they don't realize what they're saying here. It's a little over the top. And again, I just chalk that up to they're trying to keep themselves sane. It's probably a shit-ass job that pays like nothing. They gotta make it fun for themselves. It's Funimation. They gotta make it fun, you know? It's in the company name.
All right, you want to start hearing some things?
Fuck yes, I do.
That I wrote 20 years ago. All right. So this is an editorial. We called them editorials.
We were so mature back then.
So this is from an editorial I wrote, again, published on June 1st in 1999.
So Mike was 17 years old. No, not even. You would have been 16.
Sure, somewhere around there. Folks, the videos say uncut on them, but let me assure you.
Hold on.
Do I need to raise my voice?
No. I love that you are giving yourself a voice.
Yes. Come on, you gotta act.
You are making yourself.
I'm like,
you're
dialogue, folks. The videos say uncut.
So you're an angry YouTuber. Angry YouTuber.
Right, we didn't have YouTube, so we wrote editorials. Can I continue, please?
Sorry, I just wanted to know that you were giving yourself a voice, a character. You're playing a character. Let's continue.
Dialogue. Folks, the videos say uncut on them, but let me assure you that they are far from uncut. And yes, that's in quotes. The dialogue is still being completely rewritten, and it just does not go over well with me. I have a big problem with them rewriting the series. How hard is it to just do what you did when you dubbed the 3 DBZ movies and their scripts? Come on. ... Look, I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong. Here's the thing that I find fascinating about this editorial of yours, even though you just read us a couple sentences. You were 16 at the time.
Yeah.
You understood that what was being done to the show was not okay. That, to me, is fascinating.
Why?
Compared to the so-called adults in charge of the localization of the series at the time. Like, you're just some punk-ass kid who has seen maybe a dozen handful of episodes in Japanese at that point, but gets what the essence of the show is, and you're that passionate about keeping the integrity as is.
Yeah.
The fact that a 16-year-old gets that, but the people behind the show creating it don't? Just, I don't have a comment to say other than it's fascinating to me. It blows my mind, and I'd love to see, like, what is the modern day equivalent? I don't think there is one of someone from a younger generation being so passionate about something that they can turn around to the adults and be like, you're doing it wrong.
No, because they're all racist YouTubers now.
But because like there's no waiting between things coming out,
right,
that I feel like there's not.
It's the reaction.
There's not a thing.
Here's my reaction video to watch.
But that's not the same thing.
No, it's not.
There's not a thing I can think of where the kid is more knowledgeable about the subject matter than the adults.
How do you know that? You're not watching anything.
I don't know. But I'm saying listening to you describe your editorial and being like, this is not the show.
Yeah.
Compared to the people who were responsible for bringing the show to the US at the time, not getting the show, just like kind of blows my mind.
The thing that was really frustrating is at that point we had Gen Fukunaga say on record in an interview to a fan site, yes, we plan on releasing uncut with the original music on home video separate from the TV release. And we never got that. We didn't get that until 2007, really, with the Orange Bricks, when they allowed people to watch the dub with the original Japanese musical score as a selection. It was just so frustrating to, especially, remember at this time, we got DBZ movies 1 through 3 on home video subtitled and accurately dubbed. I mean, like, this is great. The script is great. The original music is there. These are fantastic. Like this, it feels like Dragon Ball. And then to have the whiplash of getting these videos in after that. Because again, those 3 movies, that was 97 into 98. Here we are in 99. It's like we're back to the beginning again.
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Along came Funimation and along came Shuki Levy. Yippee Skippy.
You wrote Yippee Skippy?
Yippee Skippy?
That seems very unlike you.
Yippee Skippy. We now have a $20 keyboard and its owner playing the music for Dragon Ball Z.
That's pretty funny.
Funimation didn't want to pay for the usage of the original score, and it came right up from behind them and bit them in the arse. Okay. Almost all of the emotional value of DBZ was lost during this musical transition. And now, with the 3rd season upon us, we are introduced to yet another score of music. This one even worse than before. It was next to no variety in itself.
That does not make any sense. Go home, Mike.
Come on, Mike. Go home, Mike. You're drunk. Every once in a while, they beat a drum during a fight scene.
Every once in a while. That's pretty good.
That was pretty good. I like that one.
I've heard enough. Guys, wait! Please listen! You don't have to... don't worry about us, Nail. Just take care of Guru.
So, interest of transparency, Scott Morgan, one of the folks who worked on the replacement score down there at Falconer Productions for a while, he actually did a remix of a song from the original Japanese score that we host on our website. He actually composed and produced one of the pieces of theme music that Jeff and I used on the Low Fidelity podcast. Scott is a great person. I can't take anything away from that. I will still criticize his garbage to the ends of time. Especially watching these episodes again, man, it's just like, this is not Dragon Ball. I mean, you go back to these things I'm talking about with the script and the voices and the music. It's like I'm watching alternate bizarro reality version of the show.
I will say this much for my experience personally, is that this particular part in the series, I had zero nostalgia for in terms of the original version. I had not watched it in Japanese. I've not read it in Japanese. I was watching it for the first time in English, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I had no base of comparison other than like, these voices and this music is weird.
When it all comes down to it, Funimation's English dub of Dragon Ball Z is really just beginning. Fun's all on their own now. Interesting that we weren't calling him funny at that point.
I thought we were calling him funny.
Well, maybe I missed the eye.
Maybe it was a typo.
And we're starting to see what they're capable of without mommy holding their hand the whole way.
Ooh, that is astoundingly astute.
Before you move on, below are some more samples of the new voices and such from Funimation's new dubbings. Feel free to check them out and try to enjoy them. You'll be hearing them for quite a time to come.
Boy, you were right about that. So, Mike.
Yeah.
Is one of those files entitled Kamehameha Dump?
You know, I thought I called it Kamehameha Dump.wave.
Kamehameha Dump.
But as I look at the files here, it's actually just called Kamehameha.wave. I think we all just called it Kamehameha Dump. And unfortunately, it's on the next tape. So I couldn't include it here. We didn't actually get that out of him here.
Sure.
But is there anything else you want to talk about with those voices now that I'm just mentioning it here in my editorial here? I mean, it
was surprising how much Chris Sabat had to do 3 or 4 of the main characters' voices. 12, all 12 of them. So it's basically like 4 actors total, it felt like.
Yeah, really. I mean, between him, Schemmel's doing Goku. He also did Nail. So Sabat's doing Vegeta. I think he's doing both Jeese and Bata.
Mm-hmm. We had Sunny Straight.
He's doing the Elder. Sunny Straight's there doing Krillin. And we had Nadalny as Gohan.
Oh, and Bulma, which was ear-piercingly bad.
Volmer. Yeah, you and I were saying, like, shit's crazy when Nadalny is, like, the competent one here.
Mm-hmm.
Although she can't emote. Even when Gohan's yelling, everything is at this tone.
Poor Guru. He wouldn't tell Frieza either because he'd rather die than let the Dragon Balls be used for any kind of evil. I wish there was some way for us to help him.
Yes, I see you have been brave and giving in your struggle. I have a gift for you that might help you in your endeavors.
He's so good he reminds you of a grandfather or something, so how could anyone want to hurt such a great guy?
Shut up! I can't take it, please! Cool it, guys!
It's rough, but it's also really important to set a benchmark. And
we had a benchmark. It was Ocean Studios.
It was. No. I mean, from this point to the present, when you see how far particularly Chris Sabat and Sunny Straight have gone since then.
Yeah.
Those two in particular, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, are you the same person?
Yeah.
Well, again, it goes back to they were hired to impersonate a previous cast and make a transition as seamless as it was going to be. I thought I wrote this here. I must have just wrote it on a forum. When I got these tapes in, between the music and especially the voices, I legitimately thought Funimation was going to be laughed out of Cartoon Network headquarters. Going back and watching it now, 20 years later, it's not quite that bad, but I still kind of feel it.
The only pass that I give it in that context is the fact that I had to remind myself, like, this is a kid show. This is being aimed to kids. They are hamming it up on purpose. The music is bad because it's geared towards kids. I know it's a horrible generalization to make. It just sounds very kid-ish. I have to think about, like, what was their end game at the time? Their end game was get this in front of a broad an audience as humanly possible.
No, their end game was, we can't do this anymore without Saban. We either stop,
or we do this on the cheap,
or we do this as cheaply as possible.
You want to hire a librarian to play your villain? Yo, we got your hookups right here.
She wasn't a librarian.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my headcanon. What was she?
It was Poir, who was the librarian.
Oh, sorry.
You got something against librarians?
I don't. I love librarians. I am all about the upkeep of data and information.
I already had this argument in these conversations 20 years ago. You can probably read them if you want to dig them up. But that was the thing that I didn't understand at the time. And though I do understand now, it was the company's got to continue producing this show. Cyborgs isn't going to carry them. Got to keep making DBZ. I didn't quite grasp that at the time. I do now. But I do feel like it was still a garbage product. And it's still literally back to back with episode 53 from season 2. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how different these two feel and sound.
But then when you think about how they sustain themselves despite those obstacles of like, we need to make this all in-house. Yeah. And it became a phenomenon.
Well, yes, it definitely did. On the back of everything they had already done to that point. Again, they wouldn't have had season 3 had it not done well in syndication and done extremely well airing in repeats on Cartoon Network for an
entire... Did it do well in syndication?
Yeah. To get an hour-long block...
I just figured that was desperation to fill up time.
No, if you're desperate, you don't get an hour-long block.
Well, for me, it was on a Sunday morning. It's like, who gives a flying crap about Sunday morning cartoon programming?
It was
for
different markets.
Yeah.
For sure. Because it was in syndication. So it was, maybe you had it on Fox. Maybe you had it on WB. Maybe you had it on CBS, actually. Mm-hmm. I mean, different markets, different stations all got it at different times. So Saturday, Sunday, 5:30 in the morning, 9:30 in the morning. It was crazy. But yeah, you're not just handed an hour-long block.
Out of good faith.
Yeah, if something's not doing well. And it was doing well. So those are some of the things I wrote. Can I read something else for you?
Yeah.
This is posted to alt.fan.Dragon Ball from one Mr. Chris Saros on May 19th, 1999.
Nice.
Well, just got done watching the rest of Double Cross. Someone please pinch me and wake me from this nightmare. Oh God, this abomination is truly reprehensible. What? I'm speechless. Utterly fucking speechless. DBZ in America is truly dead. The fight is over. We lost.
It wins for dramatic effect, but oh man, so not dead.
So anyway, guys, keep an eye out on DBZ Uncensored. I'll be updating it. So if you didn't know who Chris was, Chris ran a website called DBZ Uncensored where he was cataloging all the edits in syndication and then carried on into season 3 as well. A very popular fan site that led to a lot of copycats after that point because it was such a great idea. But yeah, so for those of you, again, who were younger and weren't necessarily online at the time, the narrative of the day was, this is bad, this is over, we lost, oh God, what do we do? Not, this will continue and this will be the cast for the next 20 years. There was no version of the future we saw where this sustained itself. We assumed it was done. And we were hate watching it because what the hell else do you do?
Yeah. I mean, you write more editorials about it. Yay!
Yeah, certainly. I really don't know what else to say. It was
just a product of its time. And you had, I hate to say it, but you kind of had to be there.
Yeah.
And we're doing our best to explain what it was like to be a fan at that time.
Yeah, to have only had it on TV for a few years at that point, to already have gone through multiple voices. Again, just Goku himself. This was the third adult Goku voice we had in 3 years. So there was nothing special about him at that point. The music, we've gone through a few music changes already between Dragon Ball to DBZ to this. There were other versions of the show airing on TV. We mentioned Telemundo, the international channel. Fan subs were massive still at this point. You talked about you went down to the flea market. You could still order things online. People like to think that fan subs were like this crazy weird niche. It wasn't. I moved around a lot. No matter where I went in my life, people had fan subs. People knew where to get fan subs. People were trading Dragon Ball Z specifically.
When I think about like how young we were when this stuff was going on, it may as well have been like dealing drugs.
Yeah, underground drug trade. Yo, I got you Cell.
It's like you need to know the right people in high school to talk to.
Not really. I mean, I feel like I walked in and suddenly it was like, here's Android
That's how I felt
3.
too. It's like I just somehow fell into the right people and be like, what is going on?
The Japanese version of Dragon Ball was a phenomenon in its own right as this was getting going, is how it felt to me. And fan sites were exploding. It was definitely a different internet landscape back then because everything was a fan site, which is different from just a blog or a news site. Fan sites had everything. You might have jokes in one part, you might have news in another part. Literally, I'm describing Temple of Trunks. You did of everything. It's like, here's pictures of action figures and here's info that no one's ever posted of the Harmony Gold dub. How does this exist on the same website? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Right
whatsoever.
place at the right time. I didn't know at the time it was historical.
So it was in many ways trivial to get online and learn more about the show. And because we were at this point in Dragon Ball's production where it was like, all right, we're stalled. So if you're into this, you're learning more. Mm-hmm. You're exploring the world of Dragon Ball. You're not just sitting and passively watching only the dub on TV, because that wasn't really possible. And that's what I want to get across to people about this time, is that it wasn't just, oh, here's the thing, and it was bad, and we all got crazy about it. It was, here's all this other stuff that was happening within this, like, tiny period of time.
Because we were pinning our hopes on it after a period of waiting and being patient and being like, this is what we get, okay? It wasn't just being upset for the sake of being upset. And I say that as someone who read your editorial at the time. And again, hindsight is 2020. Most of the things I read on your website at the time, I thought, oh, well, this guy is just pissed off because he's perpetually pissed off. But now I can
look, a lot of stuff to be mad about.
But then I can look back at it and be like, you know what? There was good reason to be not happy with this.
Like, here's this thing that I can only watch by buying pirated 12th generation versions of things. This company has it. They are producing it, and they will not make it like this because they don't want to. That was infuriating. Like, they have it. And you actually just showed me that you can do it with those 3 DBZ movies. And now you just choose not to.
Well, I think that's not quite apples to apples when you're comparing the movies.
Why? Because Pioneer was involved?
A lot of the success of those movies is how well acted they are. And not having access to the Ocean cast anymore was just a big...
But the scripts were good. The music was kept.
That's true.
Like, those were choices. Script and music are choices. Acting quality is, you know, You can choose to use ocean or not, but they chose to no longer do
unless
accurate
there's
scripts.
something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Well, we've always
Knowing what we know about Toei now.
Sure. We've always heard, oh, the scripts we got were badly mangled and half translated. Like, well, all right, your job is to translate it. So hire a fucking translator. Mm-hmm. Like, your job is to produce this show, not to write your own scripts for the show. That's how I felt. That's how I continue to feel. And eventually they did. They hired Steve Simmons to come in as their translator. So this is also something that I actually had done all the research for the wiki, which I know no one wants to hear about until we actually launch it. But a lot of research and writing has taken place, and someone was asking questions on the forum, so I pasted things in. So May, these tapes came out. In September, they started airing. That summer, the staff of Toriyama.org, which included Brian Reel, Steve Simmons, Curtis had contributed some things there, Sherwin, like all the folks from prior generation. That's when they started working with Funimation to investigate the feasibility of releasing uncut bilingual subtitled DVDs. So this was already happening in the background. We didn't really know it. This is crazy to me. And then in October that year, so only a month after it aired on Toonami, that's when Brian the Duck posted the news story on Toriyama.org formally announcing the DVD releases. Like, all of this felt like 27 years. I said 12 earlier, and I'm extending it to 12. Like, every month.
The math don't add up.
Every month just felt like a period of lifetimes in between. But this time frame was super condensed. It was really, really short.
And also the willingness to work with fans. I don't think we gave Funimation enough credit for.
Yeah.
Considering how much we were shitting on him back then.
Right.
And here's the thing.
All the feedback.
I'm kind of going on a tangent here.
Okay.
So they start to do the right thing.
Yes.
What I will never forget is when you start acknowledging Funimation for doing the right thing, and then now suddenly Vegeta EX is a funny-loving sellout.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
It's crazy to think about that. It's like, no, it's just acknowledging when a company is starting to do the right thing. You pay it forward. You put your money where your fucking mouth is, brah.
I've been called
everything.
Anything you can think of on any side of any argument. I've been called the exact opposite at the exact same time. Like, I've seen it all. I've been called it all. Nothing fucking phases me anymore. But that was hysterical. It was like, all right, well, you know what? They're actually giving me uncut bilingual DVDs, and a fan that I know and respect personally is translating it. Well, that was the right move. So I'm cool.
Yep. And I'm not meaning to make this about you because this is not the Mike show, but
well, literally it is, but
it's not. No. But just again, showing like that turnaround of fans were shitting on this product in 1999, and in 2000,
yeah,
they listen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was so weird.
I don't know that we're going to go through that again.
No,
anything.
I can't imagine anything like this happening. I mean, we've had super weird things like Funimation's release of Ava 3.33, which was like produced and then delayed and then didn't come out for so long. Like there are weird
modern equivalents of like weird things.
Weird things like that. But I don't think anything like this can happen again.
I can laugh about it now. At the time, it felt super stressful, and I wasn't even a news site that I was running. I was like, I'm just on the fringe doing like my.
But you kind of were at
doing
times.
my comedy shit.
For me, that time,
everyone was angry.
Everyone was definitely angry.
That's what I hate. That's what I hated about it. Everyone was angry. I hated it.
But it wasn't like fake on like I'm putting on a show angry. Like it was legitimate anger. Like everyone really was angry with the show, with themselves, with each other. It was only animosity online. This is something that I want to talk about, and I would like to talk about at some point in the future. I think Funimation, their production of the English dub of Dragon Ball Z, specifically in 1999, set back Dragon Ball fandom decades.
That's a bit of a stretch.
No.
The math doesn't add up.
Hear me out. Because at that point, we had people like Wuken updating Kanzenshuu, citing specific issues of V-Jump with page numbers and interviews and news. We drove all of those fans away. We made them all quit because no one wanted to fucking deal with us anymore. They all quit. None of us knew how to do that anymore. When did things start getting really translated and really back into the swing of things again?
Late 2000s?
Jake and Julian, mid 2000s. So not decades.
I was going to say, that's what I mean when I say that math doesn't add up. It's like you're talking 10 years, not decades.
The conversation about Dragon Ball online in American fandom starting in 1999 was only about the English dub we thought we were framing it by talking about the Japanese version.
In 1998, yes.
Into 99 and then forward. But none of us were doing that research anymore. None of us were, like, I was doing...
It was a knowledge gap, too. Like, how do you expect some kid
exactly.
in high school to have the funds
yes.
and means and Japanese knowledge?
I'm acknowledging that because I'm saying we drove out the old fans. I know we did because we've been told as much. No one wanted to fucking listen to us anymore because...
You're obnoxious as hell.
We're awful. So they all left. They left with their knowledge.
And you had to pick up the pieces.
We had to start from scratch, effectively, all over again, and hope that the right people got back. And can you believe, how did we end up with the right people? The fact that we ended up with Jake and Julian as the unofficial translators for this franchise online, like, I can't ask for a better resolution to that story, really.
No, it's all a label of love.
Anyway, that's something that I do want to talk about at some point later when I can really like pin down dates and think about how I want to frame it a little more. But that's Mike's grand thesis is Dragon Ball Discourse was set back 6 or 7 years because of Funimation's English dub and because we were petulant children at that time. Meri, 1999, it was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
It's definitely the worst of times. I wouldn't go back. I'm glad we went through it, though.
That was exactly what I was about to say. Like, I'm glad we went through it. I'm glad we were at the right age. Like, not too old, not too young. Because if we were older, we would have been the people driven away.
I've been like, I'm out. Yeah.
You were you did go out.
I did. I took my ball and went home for a while. I shut down my site in 2002, and then we reopened in January 2003, Julian and I. However, I've gone back and looked at that theoretically shut down website over that year. I was still updating with news. Like, I couldn't...
Every once in a while, yeah.
I couldn't really leave it behind, which I'm really thankful for. Like, I definitely needed that time to get away from it. I think everyone did. I'm so happy to see those who have stuck around since that day, to see everyone as grown-ups now.
And especially because, like, we can be friends now, too.
Yeah. We have this, we share this common trauma.
Trauma? Oh, it's a little traumatic. Yeah.
I don't know how to end this, but we need to.
I know.
So I know it's been 2 months without a podcast. Here we come back, and like, you can count on probably just 2 hands the number of times we've dedicated an episode of this podcast to Funimation's English dub. We've been gone for a while. We come back and this is what we do with it. I don't know why.
Please take it or leave it. We hope you take it, just if only for the historical significance.
Right. I'm about history. I'm about context. I feel grateful that I have been here the entire time, and I can share my memories with the children of today.
You know, I was there longer than you. If you want to get like pedantic,
I know, I do.
By a couple months.
www.kanzenshuu.com. That is Fujito EX's homepage. .website/AOL. Japan Dragon Ball Z alt.fan.usenet. Oh my God, just bury me.
I will bury you with every single book in this basement because you deserve to be. Yes.
Bury me with my books.
Except I'm not burying you, I'm cremating you, so I'm burning this all to the ground. So if anyone wants the stuff in the Kanzenshuu basement,
I want to be killed by being hit by a truck driven by a bison/dictator. And I want to be buried with my books.
It's not how I want you to go.
In fact, you need to bury Julian with me because I need him to read them to me.
So I'll have to bury
Suicide
him.
Pact. Let's do it.
Well, where does that leave me?
I don't know.
Triple murder, homicide. Suicide. Yo, this episode got dark. You should visit templeoftrunks.com because it's still online and it's a time capsule of dumbness.
When did you run it in earnest? 98 to
2001.
98 to 2001.
Thereabouts.
It felt like 53 years.
So you went from 12 years to 27 to 53.
Yeah, I wish I did like 12 to 26.
I know.
Or something. Like actual numbers.
It's not even, but you should still go.
My online trauma's in syndication now. Meri, I got nothing else. That was a website. This is the podcast. We swear we will rejoin you with...
We swear. Maybe with people more knowledgeable than me. I'm just here for the lulz.
You were there the entire time.
Man.
I was there, man.
I don't have a niche expertise like some of the other folks on your site, but I'm glad I can contribute in my own little way.
I don't know what the next episode of this podcast is going to be, but it's got to be better than this, right? No, this was great.
I was okay with this.
I really
to be honest.
enjoyed this. I needed
the walk down memory lane. I hope you guys enjoyed it too.
So those tapes are still out in the garage.
Where they belong.
Those DVDs. I don't keep my old Funimation single DVD volumes out anymore.
No, you don't. I remember when we boxed those up.
They're all boxed up. It took me a while to find them, actually. So I got the Dragon boxes upstairs. So I was like, I don't need these out. But I need to keep them for research purposes like this. Meri, this is why I can't get rid of anything, because I might need to do a podcast in 20
guys,
years.
our basement is scary.
It's just one
Send
room.
help.
It's just one room.
No, this room is scary.
This is a great room.
You don't even understand.
This is amazing.
It's like the walls are closing in on me.
They are.
And they're all Jump magazines and figurines. Please send
a self-addressed stamped envelope with $5 to Capsa Corporation and mark which tape you want, and you don't have to watch it dub anymore.
It's a shady operation we're running here.
I got tapes
in New
back.
Jersey.
You know what's really funny is when I made my Usenet post about posting these things up, I was also like, and I got in my fan sub of the 10th anniversary movie today. So that's what I'm going to go watch now. You little
Smug.
shit. Shut up.
I love you.
All right. Bye, everyone. We will see you next time.